thank you both for joining me today. We're going to be discussing the Medical Aid Films initiative that was launched in 2021. First of all, it'd be amazing if you could just provide me with a bit of an overview about who you are, what your roles are at Kubrick, and then we'll dive into it.
Thank you so much for having us here, Sarah. I'm Elmira Amadova. I'm Associate Principal at Kubrick Group, and I am in training team. So I mainly focus around supporting our consultants, helping them get skills in modern data stack, things like Snowflake, dbt, Airflow. These are some of my kind of key focus technologies. And I also do and quite enjoy doing a lot of internal projects and external work as well. So like creating internal data products and things like that.
And Andy, same question to you. If you could provide a bit of an overview about your role, who you are, a bit of a background, that'd be great.
Yeah, of course. It's much the same actually. So I'm also an associate principal like Elmira. I'm also responsible for helping our consultants come through that training journey, hopefully using the experience that I've had actually working as a Kubrick consultant to pass that on onto them. So I focus on some of the big data technologies, so Spark and Databricks, and also Power BI, which we'll probably get into a little bit because it relates quite a lot to this project that we've done with Medical Aid Films.
Brilliant. Thank you both so much. Cool. Okay, so getting stuck into the project itself. So if you can tell me a little bit, Elmira, about when you first heard about the Medical Aid Films initiative and why you wanted to get involved in it.
Yeah, of course. I first heard about Medical Aid Films from Thomas White, who helped out with initiating the project. So Tom White is a Kubrick Advanced consultant at the moment. And there was a search for people who want to engage in a CSR initiative, which still is, I believe, one of the first initiatives at Kubrick in this area. And it just a cause that speaks to heart. You always want to do a nice thing and you always want to help out. So that's how I felt.
Amazing. And same question to you, Andy. So when did you first hear about it and when did you get involved?
Yeah, well, I'd heard rumblings of this great initiative, and then it wasn't until I think about spring of last year that Elmira reached out and mentioned that there was a need for Medical Aid Films to learn a little bit more about Power BI. So I jumped in, delivered a bit of a knowledge sharing session with some of the staff at Medical Aid Films. And then from then I kind of became involved in this project and work with one of our training cohorts.
Amazing. So, Elmira, you were involved from the very beginning. Were there many other people involved at the start, and how did you grow that team? I realised that you took on quite like a leadership role within the project alongside a few others. What did that look like?
It's a great question because it was the beginning of engagement, exactly as you highlighted. The initial work was to try and understand the scope, understand what Medical Aid Films has at the moment with their data. What would they like to do with their data? Where's the kind of end goal? What we could help them achieve? So very much basically project initiation, requirements engineering, defining ways of working, defining where we would find and how we would engage consultants to actually do the work so that they know clearly where's the beginning, middle, and end for them. So there was, in essence, a large scoping work that was conducted by like a small team of people who volunteered their time. And I believe the actual kind of technical work, we started attempting to deliver things to Medical Aid Films, in essence, from January 2022, so like the new year. So first heard about the engagement in September, and then it took several months to understand and have kind of back and forth engagements with Medical Aid Films, who are amazing and super helpful and lovely. And that's kind of shaped the main backlog, as probably our listeners will know this word, the things that we'd like to deliver. And in essence, it looked very similar. The work has looked very similar, like a funnel, if I try and describe it as an image, because it was like a large piece of work to understand what they have, then a smaller scope to try and define things, then attempt to do some of those things in the backlog and identify that not all of them are priority. So that was the initial engagement. And with this funnel image, you start large and then you understand exactly what adds the value. So it's actually still work in progress. We are still helping out Medical Aid Films. We're still helping out math and improving what we're doing, what we're delivering.
I can imagine it's like an ongoing piece, isn't it? There's always going to be new things that come up, but it sounds like the journey has very much begun and you're doing some amazing work. So, you did those few months of scoping it out. And from what I remember, more people got involved in the project as you started to discover more things, opened it up to other practices, data management, data engineering. Would you say that there was quite a good blend of people involved in the project who were able to approach it from different kind of angles?
Yes, definitely. This is a very good question you're asking here, because it's this kind of breadth of skills that we're lucky to have here with our consultants, and they all are very relevant, especially when an organization like Medical Aid Films want to actually leverage the data they have, unlock that data potential. And as a result, we got, for example, data product and data management folks helping with master data management under guidance of, for example, Kiran Patel, who was one of this kind of enablement team core people. Then with Andy's help, a lot of work was done in engaging, again, our data product and data engineering folks to try and build out dashboards. Cloud folks managed to contribute and open up kind of those cloud possibilities for Medical Aid Films. So exactly as you asked, a lot of consultants got involved while they were either on the bench or with their final project from all the practices that we do, which is really, really great to see.
Brilliant. And so again, you've spoken about the kind of engagement piece where it's scoping out the project, really understanding what deliverables you think you can achieve. And it would be amazing if you could tell me a little bit about some of those deliverables that actually did take place, what you were able to bring to Medical Aid Films.
Yeah, so the main bulk of work, the main project that I got involved in was to create this dashboard for Medical Aid Films. So they were interested in understanding their social media data a bit more. So we analysed data from Vimeo, YouTube, so a couple of video streaming services, but also Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And we realised that this was a good opportunity to engage one of our training cohorts. The way that the Kubrick training model works is they have 15 weeks of training. Those last 2 weeks, we like to give them a real life client project to work on, so that when they start with our customers, they are ready to go. So we got our group of data engineers, we got them involved on the project. So we had this two week period where we could focus on how do we actually go about creating this dashboard. So what do we need in terms of how do we retrieve the data? So how can we actually connect to these social media accounts, log into them, and make sure that we can automatically retrieve that data from APIs that they have, but then also how do we consume that and produce a visual representation that would allow people at Maths to get this really good view and this insight about their data. So they can see the charts, they can see across all these different social media sites. So that's kind of how we set it up, and that was a really nice way to involve these data engineers, because we could have some people that would focus on like building out these APIs, some people that would look at, how can we automate this process, other people that could focus on the data visualization side of things. We were using Power BI to create this dashboard that was actually like the end product that we delivered to.
And so you've talked about the dashboard side of the work. So Elmira, it'd be amazing if you could talk about the other deliverables that are involved in the project.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually before the dashboard, before we kind of got the final group of DE28 to engage and deliver the social media piece of work that resulted in the dashboard with Andy leading it, there was a lot of great work done by a variety of consultants on exploring the back end of Medical Aid Films website and trying to extract data points from there, like who has registered on a website in order to download a movie directly from the website, to download the film, and help understand the demographic coming from kind of that stream of data. So not only from social media. That was one piece of work. Another piece of work was great job led by Kiran Patel on master data management, trying to standardize the Salesforce piece of Medical Aid Films to make sure they're happy, they know and they're aware of what data they have, and standardize that piece of work. So very important data management piece of work that was delivered. A lot of, kind of helping to understand what other assets there exist, how things plug into one another, gathering things into like standardized manner, helping with some data pipelines. So a lot of data work that Medical Aid medical aid films often would comment themselves that, oh, we didn't even know we had this one, or we never knew how to use this data, or how to make it accessible, etc. Educational pieces of work, right? Medical aid films actually learned a lot themselves as a result of this project. Okay. So Andy, for example, mentioned that he's got engaged initially by delivering a training session, right?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
One final bit that I would add, beyond the group project that Andy has led with the visualization part, we had cloud consultants helping out amazingly in trying to make sure it's all automated. They managed to come up with like a very, very cheap solution, which is great for charities because money is obviously of concern, to make sure that medical aid films has regular refresh access to live data in their social media. So that was a really great achievement as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like you've really set it up with that future focus in mind. Like,
yeah.
This is very much like, let's look at what we can do to help them in the long term, to make things more efficient, easier for them, save them money in the long term. And it sounds like you're doing exactly that.
It's a partnership. Yeah. We want to keep that going and keep helping them. So we always, with any kind of technical project, you always want to make sure that it doesn't require upkeep, and you can create something that works and keeps on running and is all automated. But there's also the side of that, okay, well, requirements will change over time, and we want to be there to also kind of work with them or see what future projects we can assist with. Ideally, there'll become a time where medical aid films don't need the support of Kubrick, because they've got people inside medical aid films with the knowledge to keep maintaining any products that keep running. But it is a problem with charitable organisations, as they don't always have the resources to actually pay someone a large salary with great technical knowledge. They don't have the luxury that perhaps the private sector does. So it's really nice that Kubrick have been able to step in, and we've been able to support them with that free of charge.
And so kind of going back to the project and looking at the kind of the impact of what you delivered. So, originally you were set a scope of work, you then went in, you assessed the situation, you then discovered there were like different things that could be delivered, like the data management consultants went in, they looked at their data, made improvements, like obviously the dashboards that you built. There was so much more to it that was delivered by the team. What was the feedback from medical aid films in terms of like the impact it's had? Like how has it been received?
Medical aid films, as I said, are amazing team to work with. They express so much gratitude. They express so much gratitude specifically, for example, for the knowledge piece. I think that it's been a great learning journey from them to see what kind of assets they have and what's the art of the possible of using and unlocking that value of the data. So one kind of apparent example that is on my mind is that piece of work that folks have done to help improve engagement through YouTube by recommending some social media strategies, even though kind of detached a little bit from directly medical aid films data, but attached to the topic of social media management, has helped greatly to make sure there is kind of the traffic is coming and medical aid films is impacting, i.e. directly doing what they want to deliver to the world. Obviously kind of standardizing data processes that they have, then making sure the social media dashboard is great. Everyone usually gets wowed, obviously, thanks to all the Andes and consultant skills. It's just like a single piece where you don't have to click through every single of the 5 social media kind of tools to see the metrics. You can open the dashboard where things are nicely aggregated, where they are regularly updated, and you can clearly see how you're doing compared to last week or how you're doing compared to before. So it's nice and easy way to interact and collate your data in one place with that specific piece of deliverable. So the knowledge, the dashboards, the strategies, the kind emotional exchange, I guess these are kind of the things that come to my mind.
Really well said. I think that having everything in one place, as you said, so they don't have to go and go to look at their Facebook analytics and then go and look at Vimeo and go to look at YouTube. Having that in a central location, I believe, has been a real time saver for them. And we also followed it up. We've had like quite nice like communication ongoing. So we have, like, once we did the initial release, made some future changes to the dashboards, fixed some things that could be working better, and then actually produced another piece of work that a new dashboard that cut things in a slightly different way, so that it was very specific to a particular task that Helen over at Medical Aid Films had to do every time she was reviewing a film after 6 months. Again, hopefully saving them time, but also letting them see their data in ways that they've never seen it before.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's hugely beneficial. I mean, exactly what you were saying there in terms of like that time-saving piece, but also being able to tell that story. And I think that that's a huge part of it. Like so many organisations, I know I've worked at companies, it's very much you have to do that manual legwork, going and searching exactly what you're saying, look at Vimeo, looking at YouTube, looking at Facebook, trying to see how it's doing. But with these dashboards, you can just do that comparative piece, being able to see how we're doing on that week-by-week basis, how we're comparing month by month. I mean, when you did the demo, you could just literally show the filters and you could set it to whatever you wanted. And that level of interactivity must just be so helpful for them. And I can imagine there's other companies out there who are thinking, damn, I really want that. Like that would save us time, but also make us basically be able to help us make better sense of it.
It's making data-driven decisions in your organisation, and I think everyone knows now how important that is, and these tools are what enable you to do that.
So it sounds like if there's any organisations or charities that would like something similar, whether that's having dashboards created, or maybe they just are thinking, how do I make better sense of my data, want to become more efficient as an organisation, then they should look towards our consultants. You know, we have so many different consultants across so many different practices who could help them out in lots of different ways. And yeah, whether that's on a voluntary capacity or whether it's like working together on a more professional basis, I think hopefully there's lots of organisations out there who'd be interested. Just going back to the Medical Aid Films initiative and all of the amazing work that you've done, what do you think that the lasting impact of this project will be on Medical Aid Films? Obviously you've touched on like making them more efficient and things like that, looking at more of like a wider, longer term impact, like from more of a societal perspective, or how it will help Medical Aid Films maybe enhance their own organisation and continue to grow. Is there anything that you think the project will bring?
One thing I can definitely think about is making sure the conversations with Medical Aid Films board directory, for example, is data-driven and has data-backed factual information to talk about on the impact Medical Aid Films is achieving with their audience through those social media platforms, for instance. But also, hopefully, this piece of work will enable Medical Aid Films to, kind of plan what they would love to see for the future. Hopefully with Kubrick, maybe with some other engagement, it doesn't really matter, but just open the art of the possible and see what can be done for the future. So I think these two pieces probably.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and then we did touch on it, I suppose, but it's just the data literacy as well within the organisation that will have a lasting impact. Not about one particular project, but it's about how they're thinking about data across the organisation, and I think that will reap benefits as well.
Definitely. Cool. And just the last question. So would you say that you're glad that you got involved in this project in the first place?
Good question. Yeah, of course, absolutely. For me personally, it's the people-to-people interactions that I got exposed to. For example, this project has been, as we said, the opportunity for Andy and myself to work together that we didn't really have before at workplace because of the nature of our jobs. Same with other amazing people who were in the so-called enablement team, Kieran Patel, Tom White, all those folks. It's been great to engage with everyone. And similarly from Medical Aid Films side, engaging with Helen, with Via, with Catherine, they all are amazing and they want to help us help them, as I already mentioned before. So that's been like a really warm engagement. So it's the people-to-people interaction. and a lot of personal learning as well. I described this kind of funnel image before for a reason. I've learned a lot on like how to prioritize, how to start a project, how to engage people, how to help them know what exactly is needed, how to decouple myself from them being able to do the work, how to not be a bottleneck, etc. So these are like really cool skills that I believe I managed to practice with this one, obviously with all the people-to-people engagement.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Same for myself. And also just mentioning, I think we both agree it's so nice to work with an organisation that's making such a big difference. Improving knowledge around healthcare around the world is really important. So to be able to contribute, even in just the small part that we have, to their overall mission is really rewarding.
Yeah. Well, it's been amazing having you both on this podcast. I'm sure this won't be the last that we'll see of you. And we're looking forward to doing more work with Medical Aid Films, and hopefully we can get involved with more voluntary projects going forward. So Thank you both. And yeah.
Thank you so
cool.
much, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. It's been great. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.